But before we start, Dylan and Time. Someone say they can hardly hear. Okay, I hope I don't have those issues. Everything's closed out over there? Okay. Okay, I just turned the mic up. Is that a little better? That's better? Okay, good. Well, let's go into it. Let's go into it. Audio is great. All right. The water. First off, we'd like to thank the Most High, Ahaya, in the name of Yeshua for another Sabbath, another opportunity to go into the Word. There's a few things we will go over before our lesson tomorrow. But just to see I see a few people in here were a part of the academy. I'm going to ask a few questions just to see if some of these brothers and sisters who went through the academy, some more than once, whether or not they are up on the information. We'll just take about 5 minutes. The first question I need to ask is, and we're going to put this question out there for anyone. According to the true calendar, what year are we truly in? What year is it according to the true calendar? What year is it, Shumi?
2003 or 2004.
Okay. You got help. All right. Okay, California says he would like some travel instructions. So what travel instructions would you like in general? Okay, most people are putting it out there. 2003, 2004. Okay. Someone says 2005. No, you're off. But no, it's not 1993 either. The 2003, 2004 is about correct. So, how do we come to this number, being that in the date of our year of our Lord, according to the Roman calendar, we're here 2011. How do we come to the date of 2003 opposed to 2011? Or 2004 opposed to 2011, give or take a year? How do we come to that conclusion? A lot of you are right, between 2003 2004. How do you come to that conclusion? Someone says they cut 7 years off. Okay. How do you know they cut 7 years off? How do you know they cut 7 years off? Come on, someone have to have that. Daniel 7 and 25 tell us they should think to change times and laws. Vera 747 says death of King Herod in the year 0. Okay. The death of King Herod is the key point there, sister. But what year did it say that King Herod died according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary? Someone have it. Baruch Ben said because they said that Herod died in 4 BC, but according to Matthew 2, he was still alive. There you go. That is exact. So you got 4 years, 4 BC, in which they say he's dead, but how can the guy who ordered Christ's death at birth die in 4 years before Christ was born? So that gives us 4 years, right? And then we know for sure. So how, see, that's the dead giveaway. The Zondervan Bible Dictionary, one of the older dictionaries, tells us that King Herod died 4 BC. Well, BC means before Christ. So how is it possible that this man died 4 years before Christ when he ordered the death of Christ at Christ's birth? Right? So we know for sure that 4 BC, according to the Roman calendar, Christ was living. And that's the calendar we're on now. So that's 4 years. Then you have to account the 2 years back when Herod looked to slay the children. Right? So he wanted to kill all the children 2 years back in Matthew 2, being that the wise men tricked him and didn't give Christ up. So that's 6 years when you look at that. And then 1 year later, what happens? He dies. That's 7 years. And then you have 1 year between the fact that the Romans decided just to go from 1 BC to 1 AD without the 0. That's 8 years. So when you look at those 8 years and you subtract it from 2011, you get what most have correct in this lesson, 2003. You're 100% correct. All right? So a lot of brothers and sisters are up on their vocation. We thank the Most High for that. And it's information like this that we go into in debt. We go into in debt with our academies, so that you can have the vocation to understand how they would think to change times and laws, which was written in Daniel 7 and 25. Who was the they? The rulers, the Romans. Now, one other thing that we're going to bring forth, of course, is going to be in our complete lesson in the new enhanced academy, is that, and you can look this up also, Brother Rapaya Allah brought some key information to our attention that was in the Talmud. That in the book of the Talmud, it tells you, and you know these are all rabbinical teachers, and tell them to get off that. Tell them to get off of it. Off of it. Okay. These are all rabbinical teachers. These rabbinical teachers and rabbis plainly states that the Romans are Edom or Idumea, and that's in the Talmud, the Jewish Talmud. So that's them telling on themselves, because we know for sure that the Jewish people over in Palestine today, at least the rulers of Israel, are Romans. So they're telling on themselves in the Talmud that they are actually Edom. And that's some groundbreaking information that we're going to pull out soon, based on the fact that this is not any other people but their sources, and through the books they believe in, telling us that they are from the seed of Edom. We don't need that information to know, but it's good to know that that's in their laws and in their respected literature. And with these precepts, even by pulling out the Talmud, we can talk to a Jewish person and say, well, according to your literature, the Talmud, you are Edom. And then you can go to the place in the Talmud and show them. And you can prove that the Romans went into Khazar, that's simple. And that the Khazars converted to Judaism right before the times of the Crusades, between the 8th and 11th century. This is also history we can learn. All right, now, one person asked me, and it was a good question. One person asked, and they keep sending these particular messages anytime I get a chance to run into some, that they ask if they come off and ask if is it salvation teaching that teaching the truth of what's going on in the earth, like identifying what's happening within the earth. Like, for instance, they ask, is it salvation if we call on another name besides Jesus? Is that really teaching salvation? Now, these are the trick and reverse questions they come up with. Is it salvation that we point out the New World Order and the times of the end to show a sign for our people to come to Christ? All right. Now, Christ told the disciples, listen, put down your nets. I will make you fishers of men. Now, a fish don't use the same bait to bring in its catch. And if we use the same bait as a Christian church, you understand, it wouldn't work. So, when it comes to being fishers of men, we teach salvation, but our salvation is truth. And I'm going to give you an example and show you how they use these trick questions. And I come back and ask, well, okay. Yeah, I was going to go to St. John 8 and 32, but I like to ask reverse questions when brothers and sisters come. I need that scripture where they ask Christ, is it okay for a man to put away his wife? I hold that, and I need the scripture where they ask him a question when he came and asked, was John from heaven? I'm going to open this up for questions for you brothers and sisters soon, but there's a few things I want to bring out here. Now I'm going to show you how some of these Christians use trick questions. I need you to go to Matthew 21, right? Mm-hmm. So it's okay when people or brothers and sisters are trying to come with trick questions to answer with a question. I'm going to show you how Christ did it. Let's go to Matthew 21, right? Mm-hmm. And let's start at like the 23rd verse.
St. Matthew, chapter 21, verse 23.
Read it.
And when he was come into the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching and said, by what authority doest thou teach these things?
So they come to him and say, well, who gave you the authority to teach? And some people come to us and say, well, who gave you the authority to be able to teach the Bible? They may see a guy that didn't graduate school and was in the hood just hanging around, and he ran into a few YouTube sites, and he know the Bible in, more in 1 year than the preachers have learned all their life. And the preacher might come to him and say, well, who gave you the authority to teach? See, Christ wasn't on the inside. He wasn't in the inside club. Okay? Listen to this clearly. Read.
And who gave thee this authority?
Who gave you this authority?
And Yeshua answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing.
He says, listen, instead of answering him, he says, I'm going to ask you one thing. So he didn't even acknowledge their question. He said, let me ask you something. Read.
Which if ye tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things.
He says, you answer my question, and I'll come back and tell you who gave me the authority to do what I'm doing. But you must answer my question first. Because they was coming with what you would call trap or rhetorical questions. Now I'm going to answer that Christian question in a moment, but I'm going to answer that question with a question. Read.
The baptism of John.
He says the baptism of John.
Whence was it? From heaven or of men?
Was it of who?
From heaven or of men?
Was it of heaven or was it of men? Now you notice there's brothers and sisters out there, like Israelites out there also, who believe that being baptized means reading the Word of God. So our question to them also, the baptism of John, was it of the Most High or was it of men? Now, what was the answer, brother?
And they reasoned with themselves, saying, If we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why did ye not then believe him?
Now, see, then they go to themselves, say, hold up. If we say that John's baptism was from heaven, then everyone is going to look at us and say, why you didn't follow him? Why you didn't follow the truth? Right? Read.
But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet.
But if we say that it was from men, then these people are going to fall on us because everyone has seen John work and they realize John was a prophet of the Most High. So let's see how Christ handled these Pharisees. Read.
And they answered Yeshua and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither tell I you by what authority I do these things.
He said, oh, you can't tell. You can tell, you know it was from the Most High, but you don't want to admit it. Your pride won't let you. So, since you can't tell me this, I won't tell you what authority and through what authority I was sent. See, this is the Christ that most people ignore. Okay? Why didn't Christ lay hands on him and say, come to Jesus and learn salvation? Now, when they ask questions like, well, knowing who Israel is that salvation? I have a way, brothers and sisters, that you can ask a question to respond. You in the church screaming out of your minds and spitting all over the place and falling on the ground. Is that salvation? Is that salvation? You teaching people to break God's law and saying that the law is done away with. Is that salvation? You upholding and praying for an evil society in an evil government. Is that salvation? Listen to this clearly. Let's go to St. John 8:32. St. John 8:32.
St. John chapter 8, verse 32.
Read.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
The Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth is salvation. That's what salvation is. Salvation is learning what happened to my forefathers, so that I don't repeat those same errors, or I don't fall by the same people who destroyed my foreparents. That's salvation. I can be saved by understanding the mistakes of my forefathers. That's what salvation is, to be saved. Now, if I'm ignorant to history and ignorant to the laws of God, then that's death. All right? Now, truth is salvation, knowing my foreparents, knowing our spiritual enemy, knowing what the governments are doing, also understanding the signs of the times. These things are salvation. How can you know salvation if you don't know that you're in the end? And you have churches that don't even teach about the book of Revelations. How can you know about salvation? Salvation means to be saved. Now let's go into it. Some people asked, can we go in chronological order with what's going to happen in the end? Some people ask me all the time, or others that are within the unit. Some people ask, well, how long do we have? Listen, I'm going to make this clear. I'm not a procrastinator. I'm not a procrastinator. And we don't rub crystal balls. And see, brothers and sisters are looking for men to confirm what they should believe within themselves. And see, the scriptures call that being man pleasers, where you would rather follow what a man would say and trust that man, opposed to doing what's in your heart according to the Most High. I don't have a crystal ball, brothers and sisters, and I try to steer away from those particular questions, because if we all are looking at the same signs, we should be all going in the same direction. Now, someone says, well, no one knows the day or the hour, not even Christ or the angels. Now, we're not talking about the day or the hour of the coming of Christ. Some people are asking how much time before America goes down and the window is shut that may impede them traveling freely on their own. Like, they need me to give them a window. Like, how long do you think they're going to close off the border so that maybe they want to graduate school, or they want to stack, a few extra dollars? So they're trying to do things based off of procrastination, when the scriptures give you the information you need to know according to the signs in Matthew 24. It tell you. Now, I'll say this, and listen, I'm not saying this to scare anyone or fear mongering, but I'm going to tell you, when it happens over there, just like with any other place in the earth, it's going to happen all at once. It's not going to be a time in which you'll be able to prepare for what they'll do. Okay? And the perfect example that I can give is what just happened last week. I spoke to Elder and Brother Gabar in New York, and he told me it was weird that the so-called Hurricane Irene was minimized to a tropical storm. But yet, policemen were all over the place trying to stop people from operating within society. Police was everywhere. So if the storm was so bad, what was police doing outside? That's number one. Number two, he said that it was weird because there was a lot of different trucks and activity going on within New York under the mask or cloud of a natural disaster. So they was running drills. It's number two. Excuse me. Number three, when it comes to what happened in New York last week, you had Mayor Bloomberg come out right before the storm and say that if he find anyone looting, They will be placed in internment camps, and I went and researched the information, and it's crazy. Brother Ariaga Barr sent some information that showed on the actual army site. Go to the army site yourself, brothers and sisters, and type in internment camps. They are recruiting military to man the internment camps. Internment camps are just another name for FEMA camps, and it's an industrialized prison, but it's national. So they're going to take the prison system and make it national. Also, under this guise of national security and what they would call natural disasters, they have the right to send any American citizen. I don't care if your great-great-grandmother was here in captivity. They have the power to send you back to the country of origin of your forefathers. So if you're from a certain part of Africa, they can just send you back there. That's what they're saying. And revoke your citizenship. Now that's what they'll tell your family. But you'll be up in the camps. These things are actually on the Army, Americans Army website, that they're manning the internment camp. So when these things happen, it's going to happen all at once. Okay? So the only signs we're going to give you is the signs that Christ gave us. Let's go to Matthew 24 and let's read some signs beyond what we usually read in Matthew 24. Read it.
St. Matthew, chapter 24, verse 1. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple.
Go ahead.
And Yeshua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another.
We went through all that before. Let's go down to the 5th verse.
Verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
We went there before, Christians. Go ahead.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
Is wars breaking out every place? So what other sign we need to see? Some people ask me, well, I want to graduate school. I'm like, listen, I can't. That's not my vocation as far as being able to tell people whether or not they should go to school or drop out of school. I'm not going to say drop out of school. Okay, I'm not going to say just get up and leave everything without careful planning. All right? So you have to have some careful planning. You also can't just, you have to see the signs yourself and prepare accordingly. And link in with brothers and sisters of like mind and work together. Listen to this clearly. And above all, be in the right spirit under Christ. Read.
See that ye be not troubled by all these things.
Go ahead.
Must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
The end is not yet. So we're not talking about Christ breaking the atmosphere. We're talking about all the things that will lead to him breaking the atmosphere. Read.
Verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation.
Nationality against nationality. And you see that big time. Racial tensions. Read.
And kingdom against kingdom.
And kingdom against kingdom. And one thing I see, you got so many people out there worried about everyone else's business, instead of everyone focusing inward. We see the nations against nations. You see people looking at other people saying, well, why these black guys with this white guy? Why these Chinese guys with this white girl? What business is it of yours? What do that have to do with the salvation of Christ and whether or not you're going to make it? And see, that fuels the racial tensions and what you would call the nation against nation. If these two people are in their house and they're trying to do what's right by their family, whose business is it of anyone else's? And what you want people to just break up? What, you going to take care of the family that breaks up? Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And see, we become proxies in this by operating with these racial stigmas they have out there. All right? And try to fight each other based on these racial stigmas. These demons feed off of the racial tension. So it's nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Read.
And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
And that's where we are now. We're here. Famines. Okay? Anytime you're eating GMO food that's giving you cancer, that's a famine. That's famines. We're in it. So what you need an answer from us for? We're more so like the watchmen at the tower. We're shouting out. We're letting everyone know what's going on. But it's up to you to take heed to the warning and to the signs to make moves. Read.
Verse 8. All these are the beginnings of sorrows.
Jacob's trouble. Read.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted,
And we know that's coming. Internment camps.
and shall kill you.
FEMA camps.
And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
You will be hated of all nationalities for my name's sake. So those who are following the true name of Christ and the true name of God, and those that are trying to follow the Most High, will have a target on them in the end. Okay? Now the difference between the Christians pre-Constantine or during Christ's time and the Christians now is that the majority of Christians today are not prepared for what's about to happen, because they're taught that they're going to float up in the sky someplace away from the boogeyman, and it doesn't work that way. Okay? They will go through this persecution, and their preachers and pastors will lead them to the slaughter. They will they'll be like Pied Pipers before them and say, listen, just follow the government. The government will never do these things. You know what I mean? There's food here. They're going to have musicians coming through, entertaining at the internment camps. Rappers coming through. Yeah, they do it all the time when it's war. When it's war in these other countries, all the stars go and fly out and have shows and all that. This is what they do, brothers and sisters. So when you're in an internment camp or a military camp, the entertainers and all that, you're going to have the feel-good stories. And I forgot to say on this army site that the military also will have the power to administer vaccinations. I don't understand. When have military become doctors and nurses? Oh, they do have doctors and nurses in the military. There you go. Read.
Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted.
They'll deliver you up to be afflicted, and believe it or not, 9 times out of 10, the people that's going to deliver you up are the people you know, your family. Say something, see something. They're going to find out that you're trying to go someplace, and they're going to fear because they believe everything they see on TV. And they're going to be calling the cops on you. You're going to have Homeland Security sitting in front of your house. This is what they're going to do. Read.
And shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
Now, why would someone want to hate on a Christian? Why would someone want to hate on Bible readers and people who believe the Bible in Christ? Why? Because the people who can see is a threat to this society. They are a threat to this world. They can wake other people up to form a spiritual army. That's the biggest threat. Read.
Verse 10. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another.
So you're going to have people that, because of an offense, someone did something to them, they're going to start betraying the people they knew. Same person you said, I'm going to ride or die with, you're going to be sitting down in a police station or a Homeland Security station saying, listen, I know exactly what they do. I know where he's at. Here's his Facebook information. Here's his telephone number. Here's everything about him. And matter of fact, I can show you where listen, you say there's a reward, right? It's anonymous. No one knows, right? It's going to be the people you know. And listen, it's not a big deal because, as far as I'm concerned, because listen, when you come to do this work, you got to prepare yourself as a living sacrifice. You know that your life, you're dead already. So you have to walk in that understanding that your life will come back with Christ. Because you got people that'll sell you down the river for a ham sandwich. And that's just the truth. Read.
Verse 10. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another.
Go ahead.
And shall hate one another.
Shall hate one another. Read.
And many false prophets shall arise.
Go ahead.
And shall deceive many.
Go ahead.
And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
People's going to hate everybody. You're going to have people walking around with attitudes for no reason. You notice that's where we are now. You have people, no one did anything to them, running around mad. That's the society we're living in right now. Like, who did something to you? You're just running around angry and upset. Read.
Verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved.
But those that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Now that's salvation right there. Save, salvation. Look at it. It's the same word in Greek. Save, salvation. So that's salvation. So these are the things we should be teaching. So when I talk about internment camps, what's going on in the earth, the New World Order, the wars, rumors of wars, and all the things, these are the things that are making the elect and those who can see aware to prepare. That's salvation. Now, if I ignore this and say, well, just sing a song and let's talk about Jesus and hold hands, you know what I mean? And then after that, pass the plate. How many people in that congregation know what's going on in the earth? They'll feel good, but they are not aware. But they would make us believe that what they're singing and dancing and holding hands and crying is salvation. Salvation is watching as well as praying. Ye that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Read.
Verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world, in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
So that means as these things are happening, some elect is going through the earth teaching the truth of Christ and letting them see these prophecies and knowing our time is now. And they must go throughout the four corners of the earth before Christ returns. It's happening, brothers and sisters. It's going on. It's happening right in front of your eyes. Okay? There's people that's doing this, the same thing we're doing, in another language, and we don't even know it. It's happening all over the earth, brothers and sisters. Read.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
And then shall the end come. Read.
Verse 15. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolations, spoken of by Daniel the prophet.
When you see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet. Now you must really understand this. This desolation, which was from the book of Daniel, spoke of a high military presence within a country. That was the biggest sign that the military was going to destroy Jerusalem. If you see high occupation of military, it's for no reason. They are planning to do something. That's boots on the ground. So when you start seeing cops all over the place, military all over the place, and here it is, no one is doing anything wrong, but they're just hanging around. They're preparing for a serious mass annihilation of the children of Israel. That's the sign that Christ was giving us. When you see, read.
When ye therefore shall see See the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
Do what?
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Whoso what?
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
Whoso readeth, let him understand. Stand in the holy place when all these things happen. Whoso readeth, let him understand. So what is Christ saying? These things are not for everyone to understand. Or he would have just been straight out and not put it in a parable. So there will be a holy place to stand in while all this is going down, brothers and sisters. And see, this is what they should be talking about in the churches. Now, or in any other religious conclave, whether it be, they should be talking about this in the mosque too. Because this is what's going down. What I'm reading here is happening. Military every place. NATO is everywhere. This is the desolation that Christ was speaking of. Now I'm going to get back to that question we have. Well, how long do we have? Or, I'm going to get back to that, but I wanted to show the signs according to Christ. Some more signs. Read.
Verse 16. Then let them which be in Judea flee to the mountains.
Don't flee to the mountains, brother. What you got to do is you got to wait for a UFO to pick you up.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
No, you don't got to flee nowhere, brother. Listen. The whole earth is Babylon.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
Brother, you don't got to flee. God is going to pick us up and put us in a cloud.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
So my difference is, what is the difference between those who believed in Christ back then and us? What is the difference? Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 and 10 tell us, what have been shall be, and there's nothing new under the sun. Someone asked, where do we flee? Read it again.
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
The person that asked him those questions, where is the mount? Where is the mount? Let me tell you, all of you out there have Google Earth. You all have Google Earth. You all have technology where you can know exactly where to be in 3 minutes. Okay? Don't go in Israel. That thing is about to get dealt with. Where are these mountains? Good question. And you know what? That lesson will be in the advanced class very soon. Yes, it will be. What mountain? You'll get it. But don't go to Israel. Well, you can usually go to any mountain, and that will preserve you for a while in some of these mountains, because you'll be in high ground. But if you're in America, it's a matter of time. Read.
Verse 17. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
That means don't go to your housetop. I mean, you on the housetop, don't go into your house to grab something. When you see this thing happening, know that you have to be a pilgrim and have what's on your back and learn to survive. And it's amazing. This is what's funny, because Christ told us in Matthew the 6th chapter that seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things shall be given unto thee. And that the things of the world is what the Gentiles seek. But it seems that the Gentiles and people who don't even believe in the Bible have enough sense to prepare for something, knowing that the economy is changing, and understanding that all the jobs is going offshores, and understanding that there's a military presence, it's as if the unbelievers have more preparation than the believers. It's weird. You would think that these people that are doing all this preparation read scripture. Read.
Verse 18. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes.
Go ahead.
And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that bear that give suck in those days.
Go ahead.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter.
Here's some more signs. Don't wait till the winter to start trying to get someplace. Read.
Neither on the Sabbath day.
Neither on the Sabbath day. He gave us two key signs. Winter, Sabbath. Winter, Sabbath. To let you know, this is the preparation of the desolation of when your armies are preparing to take people out. Like they did in 70 AD, winter, Sabbath. Read your Josephus. Winter, Sabbath. Why? Because the armies can use the weather against you. They can use the weather against most people. You have to think about it. These military personnel have been trained for all terrain, all weather. And the majority of us, we eat until we fat. We can't jog around a corner without sweating out of our minds. And how can we get through the snow in certain parts of the earth like that in the winter? So it's in their benefit to do it when it's hard for the American citizen or any regular city citizen to travel. Think about it. So they're going to prepare it Sabbath, winter. We're talking about signs of the times. Read.
Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time.
Someone just made a statement that they have special interest in Brazil. Yes, they do have special interest in Brazil. The special interest they have in Brazil is the fact that there's untapped resources that they will use in that country, like Africa. But they're looking to kill all the Brazilians and the Aborigines of that particular land. It's a colonial conquest. All right? So they're not looking to share Brazil. All right? Read.
Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time.
Read it again.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time.
So this lets you know that Christ wasn't talking about the tribulation of chest. Christ wasn't talking about the tribulation of just 70 AD. He was speaking of the last tribulation of our time right here. Read.
No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened.
And we know that Christ's going to have to shorten these days because these maniacs will not stop. These maniacs will not stop. Read.
There should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So the Most High is going to shorten the days just so the elect can make it into this kingdom. This is just the truth. These people that are in league with Satan are crazy. Okay? They're crazy. Read.
Verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For those For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
And you got people calling themselves Christ today. You got one guy over in Dimona, Africa right now, next to a nuclear plant, calling himself Christ. This is what's going on. Read.
Verse 25. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth.
So if someone tell you, listen, I know where Christ is, go to a desert, you better not listen. Read.
Behold, he is in the secret chambers.
He's in the secret chambers. Listen, I know where he is and no one else know. Let's come and go meet Christ. No, don't listen. You follow the signs. Read.
Believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
So there's no place in the earth that someone can trick you into saying Christ is. Because when Christ come, every eye shall see him. Read.
Verse 28. For whosoever the carcass is, or for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
And it's talking about NATO. The eagle represents Rome. The carcasses is going to be in the body of Jehoshaphat. That's talking about the last battle. The battle you see in the Middle East right now is going to filter its way throughout the earth. Where the eagles are, wherever they go, that's where you'll find dead. NATO, every place the eagle go, people die. Read.
Verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days.
After the tribulation of those days, what will happen?
Shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven.
So what's going to happen? All the luminaries will change to their angelic form and become part of Christ's army. When Christ returns, he will be our light. All the luminaries will change their form. So there's no such thing as not knowing when Christ will return, because there will be total darkness, then total light. Read.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light.
Go ahead.
And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn.
Then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. It tells you in the book of Amos that when Christ comes, there'll be darkness and no light in it. Okay? All the nations will mourn. Why? Because Christ coming back to kill people. All right? There'll be a 7-year reign of him straight killing. They tell you in Revelations 19 and 11, he's coming for war, brothers and sisters. The peace comes after the 7-year war. Read.
And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other.
Now, some people might think, well, this is talking about being picked up in a bubble. No. This is talking about the ships of Tarshish being led into different areas of the earth for the survivors, bringing them back into Jerusalem. And we can prove that. That's going to be in the class coming soon also. This is the ships of Tarshish being guided. The same way the 10 tribes were guided with the angels protecting them and calming the water. That's what this is talking about. Also, it's talking about the Gentiles bringing the children of Israel to Jerusalem for mercy. Someone asked, is Asher Argentina? Yes. Asher is Argentina all the way down through near parts of Brazil. Believe it or not, the majority, a lot of Brazil is Judah, believe it or not. But I'm talking about the Indian tribes there are Asher. Venezuela, all of them. That's Asher. Read.
Verse 32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree.
Now let's learn a parable of a fig tree.
When its branch is yet tender, and parteth forth leaves, ye know the summer is nigh.
Go ahead.
So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near.
So Christ is saying, listen, just watch for the signs. If you're looking at the signs, you don't need no man to tell you when to make a move. If you can see that clear, you know what time you're in. Okay? Read.
Even at the doors.
Even at the doors. Read.
Verse 34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass, so all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away.
So what generation was it talking about? Some people say it was a generation back then. But now it's talking about the Great Tribulation. It's talking about our time. It's talking about at the last tribulation, our time. Read.
Verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
Read it again.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
That day or hour knoweth no man. And that leads to some of these Israelite groups that was out there saying that Christ will be back by the year 2000. And see, they think people forgot that. Up there in 1992, 93, saying, well, listen, let's get it together because Christ's going to be back at 2000. You had people running up credit cards, stealing. They was doing all types of stuff. They was looting. And then, you know, the ball dropped in New York and they was in debt. So that's what happened. And now they the same people that's around talking about, well, you don't got to baptize. Christ was here 30 times or 3 times. That reincarnation and all different types of false doctrines that are out there. The same people who said that Christ will be back here in 2000. No man know the day or the hour of Christ. Christ is the Lord. Christ is the Master. Okay? Read.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
Go ahead.
No, not the angels of heaven.
Not the angels. Read that again.
But of that day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
So Christ don't even know when he will return, brothers and sisters. Only the Father. The angels don't even know. It's going to come a time where the Most High will look at his son and say, okay, son, go finish it. And then that's when he'll know. So how can a man say when Christ will return? When the Bible, Christ is telling you that no man knows the day or the hour. He don't even know. Only the Father. Some people ask, well, why would you steal if you think Christ is coming back? Well, that's what, hey, guess what? That goes into the same bubble of Christ coming back in the year 2000. They figure they're going to get a few flat screen TVs or whatever. It's time for me to get everything I never had and, you know, get ready. You had some people who was digging ditches and had bunkers built and all that. Read on.
Verse 38. Verse 37. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Go ahead. Now it says like the days of Noah. Let's see what was going on during the days of Noah. Read.
Verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage.
That means everyone was dealing with things normally. See, as long as you still have TV, as long as you have some similitude of regular life that you've been used to living, you figure that, you know, well, this generation's just going to go by like every other. People always been talking about the end of the world. Read.
For as in the days of Noah, For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage.
Go ahead.
Until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
Until Noah entered into the ark. That tells us that there's going to come a time where the door will be shut. Read.
And knew not until the flood came, and took them all away.
And didn't understand it until the flood came and took them all away. Read.
So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one taken and the other left. 2 women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left.
Now some people say, well, that's the rapture. No, that's not the rapture. You can have 2 people that used to be together, one going to leave out and the other one going to stay. That's what it's talking about. They're not talking about you being picked up in a bubble somewhere. Read.
Verse 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doeth come.
Read that again.
Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doeth come.
Go ahead.
But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would have not suffered his house to be broken up.
Go ahead.
Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not that the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing.
Read on.
Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods.
He shall make him ruler of all his goods. Read.
Verse 48. But if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming.
You're going to have some people going to say, well, Christ is never going to come back. We don't know when it's going to happen. Read.
And shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken. The Lord of the servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth, and that's for believers. So if you want to know the signs of the times, brothers and sisters, that's the Bible. That's the Bible. I want to say again, and I wanted to put it out there many times, that if you are going to roll out and leave or to go, we are not going to control whether or not you go someplace. You are grown people. You brothers and sisters are grown. Okay? So we're not trying to control that. All right? So if you can get together with other brothers and sisters and operate and try to go someplace and try to work it out together, then that's good. Okay? We're not saying don't go on your own without us. You could. But those that's going to be operating with us are going to be operating under the guidelines that's set for protection. That's all we say. That's all we're putting out there. That